My name is Douglas Thompson. I'm a airsoft gun tech, and I wanted to show you my L85 and give a short review about it and some of the parts, and also field stripping it and maintenance. So I'm going to get to it. First of all, this is the gas blowback version. It's a WeTech rifle, and it is, of course, all metal, steel most places, and then aluminum in some places, then pot metal in some places, unfortunately. This is a Magpul AFG, angled foregrip. This is the Aimpoint Micro T1. It's a replica. I'm not sure who makes that, but it's pretty decent. It's got a kill flash on there as well that you can unscrew. Daniel Defense quad rail by Magpul. And from the outside, that's pretty much all you can see besides the bolt carrier that's upgraded. It's the RA Tech steel bolt carrier. Anyway, so let's get into the field strip. First, you're going to want to take your magazine out. And if you're familiar with the gun, the magazine release is right there. And I'm doing this with one hand, so bear with me here. So I'm going to probably drop this. Let me see if I can do a ninja move here. Okay. And that'll just come out. Let's see if it'll poop it out. Okay, it's got a bit of a constipation here. Okay, so that's the magazine. The magazine is, these are pretty cool. I haven't had too many problems with them. They're like $35 each. Pretty expensive for a magazine, but they're decent. So, you're going to want to flip the gun over, so you're going to have to probably put it in your lap, actually. Because the charging handle, you don't want to damage anything. So this body pin right here and this body pin right here, if I could get it to focus, are what you're going to want to take out. This one's usually pretty easy to take out. You can take it out by your hand. The AEG version is too for some reason. So let's set that aside. And you can actually use your magazine. I don't really recommend this, but this is what I do. You just tap it out. Or you can use like a gunsmithing hammer, or even the end of a screwdriver, or if you're strong enough, just, you know, push it out with your finger. But it's in there pretty good. These pins are different lengths. These other pins, this pin is for the trigger box. You don't need to do anything with that. And this one actually is a fake one. You can actually take it out, but it's just like this long. It doesn't really go anywhere. So at this point, you can separate your upper and lower receivers just by taking this part and just pushing. And then you're going to want to pull towards the butt of the gun and release it from this little groove that it's in here. I'll show you in a second. That right there, that little groove, and there's like a little thing that it connects to. There's a lot of things missing on this gun, and I don't really have time to go over them. There's a lot of things that are broken on this gun due to poor quality of the parts, but I'm just going to go over some basic stuff. So this is your, or the stuff that needs maintaining. This is your hammer, and then, you know, your triggers down there, and then there should be other parts in there, but I removed them because some of them are broken. This is the firing pin area. Like, that's what makes it to where that hits against your magazine and then releases gas. Anyway, this is RA Tech hammer, and then RA Tech trigger, and some RA Tech other parts. The firing pin is RA Tech, and then that's stock, because the RA Tech one is too short, unfortunately. So that's the lower receiver, and what you can do, there's not really much maintenance that needs to be done in here. You can get some, as you can see, I have a little bit too much in there, but you can get some grease in there. You want to use white lithium grease for anything that's metal, like metal and metal. Silicone oil, lightweight silicone oil for anything that's plastic or rubber. You don't want that white lithium grease getting on any of your plastic or rubber parts, but luckily everything is metal down here, so it's not going to do any damage. So that's the lower receiver, and yeah, you can take a Q-tip, or you could disassemble it and, you know, lube up the parts or grease up the parts individually. That'd be the best way to do it. But if you just don't have the time or the knowledge, you can just grease it up as best you can with a Q-tip. So that's the lower receiver. Now let's get to the upper receiver. This is the there's a little tab. There's a little tab on the back side or the bottom of this that you have to lift up the recoil spring because it locks in there for when you're resetting it. You have to lift it up and pull it out. And that's your recoil spring and your guide rod for the bolt to go back and forth on. That's your bolt carrier, and this is your charging handle. So how to remove this charging handle? There's a you have to pull this back, and when it gets to like this little circle area, you pull it back to that, and you should be able to release this. If I can, it's kind of hard to do it without being able to see it. Mine is a little bit out of place. There we go. That should do it. Okay. 30 minutes later. This should not take this long, by the way. Okay. So that's the little groove. You don't want to put it upside down. I'm sure it'll work, but it'll probably mess something up. But there is no. You can do that, but it'd be a horrible idea. So let's set that aside. And this is the bolt carrier. Now it just slides out. Bolt carrier and the piston. This is the piston. This one is broken in some spots, but it still functions. This is the RA Tech bolt carrier. The original one is crap. Simple as that. It needs replacing after like 300 rounds. So this is the RA Tech one. You're going to want to get in these grooves and stuff with some lithium grease, if you can see them inside there, in these holes along these like rectangular tracks, guide tracks. So I'll show you that in a second. And then you're also going to want to lube. There's this this right here, this like this metal. I don't want to keep on calling everything a guide, but it is a guide. You're going to want to lube that up as well, and that's your hop up. And you don't want to get any lube or anything in there or the white lithium. So you want to put just enough to where it's not going to affect the performance of the hop up and stuff. So let's set this upper receiver aside in a very dangerous looking spot. Just have it hang there, and make sure it's, has the full ability to fall and break. Alright, so let's start with the guide rod. I would not normally put this much on, but I'm going to show you where to lube it up. Let's see if I can. You want to take these smaller springs out and make sure and put these back on when you reassemble the gun. Otherwise, bad things will happen. So you want to start down to at the base, and sorry, my phone is out of focus. And you want to put just like a small bead, and then you're gonna spread this around, but just get enough to where like you can kind of spread it out with your fingers or whatever you want to use. You can even put some on the middle, which that didn't work out too well. So then you can literally just use your hand and just put it all over there. You don't want to put like a ton, but you want to make sure everything's good and slippery. And the slipperier you get your gun, the faster your rate of fire will be, actually. And just slide these back on. And this is kind of one of those parts like where you can't really over grease, because the gun cycling will push all the excess aside. You might not want to have all that stuff like floating around your gun, but if you don't really mind, it's not going to really hurt anything. It's just kind of one of those things that you can't put too much on, really. I mean, I wouldn't like recommend just like slathering it on, but this isn't too much, and it's just whatever. So now you're going to want to move on to the bolt carrier. You're going to want to lubricate this bottom part, because this is where a lot of friction and a lot of I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. A lot of stuff happens there, and you wanna definitely lubricate it. So, and then you also want, normally I'd have two hands to do this, but you want to get in those little holes, and you don't really need to put any in because there's enough on the guide rod already. This is kind of just something I do. You want to just put them in those 3 holes, and then it'll spread when you insert this in when it's in the gun. You don't need to do that now, but just kind of showing you. And now you're going to want to definitely put some on here. This again, you don't have to, I guess you don't have to put some directly on the bolt carrier because it will be used on the upper receiver too, and then it'll spread to these parts. But you can get in there with the Q-tip and stuff. This, I'm just like kind of maximizing the amount of lubrication that's taking place, because all this stuff, it would kind of lubricate, spread itself around. Like I've been saying multiple times, I don't know why I continue to repeat myself. I'm getting upset with me. I'm just joking. But, okay, so that's that stuff. The bolt carrier and the guide rod and recoil spring. You don't want to put any grease on the charging handle. I'm going to set this down. Listen to the sound of my voice. The darkness, don't let it make you uncomfortable. I'm just grabbing the upper receiver because I got a bunch of grease on my hands. And I want to get my phone. Okay, now, so, and then this right here, you're going to want to grease this, and also the sides of it, because the bolt carrier also rests on the sides. And so go ahead and kind of get a small bead. And I didn't actually put as much as it looks like I put on, because it's actually that silver part reflecting. You want to spread that around. And you want to get it on the sides as well. You can also do this with the Q-tip or whatever you'd like. There's also some parts, not on the original bolt carrier, but on the RA Tech bolt carrier, it actually rubs a little bit on the sides of the receiver because it's larger. So you can just kind of get the excess off your fingers and put it on there. It's going to push a little bit out to the outside of the receiver, and you can wipe that off later. Not a big deal, but you can put it on both sides. At this point, you're pretty much done lubing your gun. And of course, before you did all that, you would have wanted to clean them off, but I couldn't really demonstrate that due to me having one hand available. So the white lithium makes it super slippery. That's great. I'll show you the rate of fire here in a little bit. So you put your bolt carrier in first during reassembly. You want to get that hole lined up on the bolt carrier with the hole in the side of the receiver. You take your charging handle and you line it up and put it on in there. Okay, slide your bolt forward all the way. Take your recoil spring, freshly lubed up, greased up, and slide it in there. And then that tab again on the upper receiver, you push up and then set it on there. And then your upper receiver is done. Again, you could put grease in here too, and I have, but it's difficult to show that. Okay, so you slide it into that little slot that I showed you earlier. And make sure the tabs are on the inside of the receiver. You make sure that's also on the inside. Okay. And you take your longer pin first and put it through the back. You can put it through the front too, it doesn't really matter, but I like to put it in the back because I'm not sure why I like to put it in the back, but push that in there. And you take your next pin and put it right here. If you have forgotten already, congratulations. It'd be pretty hard to do, but if you have, that is an achievement. I can't see this hole. I'm going to flip this around. Okay, and you can put, like I said, you can put these pins in either way. They'll work just as good. You just push until you hear click. Okay, so now the gun is super greasy. You can wipe it off. It doesn't really matter, you know, unless you're playing in an airsoft game like there's a lot of dirt. You definitely don't want dirt sticking to your gun or the inside of your gun. I don't think you want your gun in the dirt in the first place. You don't want your real guns in the dirt. You don't want anything in the dirt. So just don't put anything in the dirt. That's a good way to put it. And see, there's some grease on the outside. Okay. And I don't know if there's any gas in that mag, but we'll find out. I don't think there is. I always like to empty my mags out. So now you test the what's the word I'm looking for? You cock it. And just make sure everything's smooth, and it feels very smooth. I don't feel any friction or anything, so the parts are in there correctly. And pull the trigger, make sure, yep, reset. Let's find out if there's anything in this mag. It's not loaded, just so you know. I did check it beforehand. And normally you'd want to pull your bolt back because it's like a real gun to load the first round, so as not to damage your piston and the feeding thing. But since there's no BBs in here and I don't have a bolt catch in here, that's just kind of how I have to do things. So I'm going to charge the weapon. Okay. And let's see if it fires. It does not. I guess that's good. I don't leave my magazines loaded. Anyway, so that's the maintenance and field strip, or basic field strip and basic maintenance tutorial. At this point, since your gun is reassembled, you'd want to go ahead and clean it with the very long unjamming rod, cleaning rod. Plastic one. Do not use an actual gun or a metal-based cleaning rod like some people do. You'll scratch the inside of your inner barrel and make it to where some of your shots are not as accurate as they could be. So that's the basic maintenance. And if you have any questions about this particular gun, I don't have a whole lot of experience with it because it literally broke in one game. Didn't break to the point to where it wasn't working. It just broke to the point to where I had to fix it. Like it did function. It just didn't function like I wanted it to. Anyway, so yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.